Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today my topic is what a family law lawyer wants you to know before you file for a divorce. So first off, recognize that this is an emotionally draining process. I know for a lot of people, they start out very, sad, and, it is the end of something that was meant to be forever, right? So understand that it is a process. Things do get better with time, and just deal with it in the best way for you, right? So for some people it's just with the support of friends and family, filling out their emotions. For others, you may need to get that counseling or therapy to deal with the grief. So do recognize that it is what it is. You are going to experience some grief. If you are experiencing that, then it's perfectly normal and it will pass. Now there's some other sets of people, however, that feel super excited. They're like, wow, good riddance, can't wait for this to be over. And I just want to caution you that you may be feeling that way right now, but the grief may come later. It may hit you later. So just recognize that it could be an emotional roller coaster. Get the support that you need. Take care of yourself. Okay. Second thing, you need to expect that there will be some scrutiny of your life and your decisions. And what do I mean by that? I'll deal with this in two aspects. So there's the parenting portion of things, and there's the financial part. So with respect to parenting, for example, it is very shocking to people to find out that when the process of separation is initiated and when parenting terms are being negotiated, that their parenting style may be called into question. And you may find the other side judging your decisions from things as simple as what you fit the children, to the children's routines. And you may even find that you're required to take parenting classes because the other parent doesn't trust your ability to care for the children. And that is something that's very shocking for people that have, been parenting together for any length of time. And it's so shocking to them that all of a sudden they're required to take parenting classes, or someone's questioning what kind of meals they'll be feeding the children, or if they know the children's routine and all of that. There might be merit to it. If there is merit to it, then the simplest way to just deal with it is to take those parenting classes if required. Communicate with the other side so you get to learn and understand the needs of the child better. That's a simple way to kind of deal with that situation. And I understand that it may come off as insulting. It's annoying, but it's a simple way to deal with the issue. Now, there are cases where there's absolutely no basis or foundation for those allegations, and it might just be a difference of parenting styles, or even in some cases, it might just be, straight out fabrication. So in those cases, obviously, you might need to take a, harder stand. But the point of it is just don't be too shocked or surprised when that comes up. Your parenting style, your parenting decisions, things like that may be questioned. Another area where you may face scrutiny might have to do with your finances. Disclosure. That's our mantra in family law. And you will, don't be surprised if you're asked to provide bank statements dating back several years, right? In fact, it might be several decades ago, depending on the length of your marriage. So if there are equalization, if there's equalization to be calculated as an example, and you're making a date of marriage claim, well, someone may be requesting to see, statements from, or tax returns, whatever the case may be, from even 20, 30 years back, right? If there's support obligations, for example, well, there might be a request from the other side to scrutinize, your bank statements to see if there are monies that are going in and out, especially if you're a business owner. The company records would be examined, your expenses would be scrutinized, and it doesn't matter if it's allowed by the CRA. So I'm speaking in terms of expenses. If they're legitimate to CRA, well, from a family law perspective, it may not be allowed. So don't be too surprised if your expenses are being questioned, and don't be surprised if the other side is going through your bank statements with a fine-tooth comb, and maybe they're even retaining forensic accountants. If there's a suspicion with some foundation, of course, it can't just be a bare allegation, but if there is some basis to the other side thinking that you might be hiding funds, whether for equalization or for support purposes, then they might be able to get an order, getting all of these bank statements that could span years, and they could actually be looking through your accounts and seeing every cup of coffee that you bought, and however else you may have spent your money. And that's something that's not a lot of people aren't very comfortable with. So that's something that you should be aware could happen. Your lifestyle will be questioned. So especially if you're claiming a low amount in as your annual income, but your lifestyle doesn't seem to support that amount, well, do not be surprised if your social media posts and your travel tickets and the kind of car you drive and all of that stuff comes into question, because again, it could be relevant when dealing with certain issues. So expect that, so that you're not blindsided. Another thing you should expect and prepare for is just managing your expectations. I'll just put it that simply. Just manage your expectations with respect to how much you might have to pay in support. It's very shocking to people to find out that they do have to pay the child support guidelines, and that a court doesn't care if you're able to still make your mortgage payments if you have to pay child support. It's based on the tables, and that's how it's going to go. The spousal support as well. If that's something that is applicable to you, well, it's for you to kind of get out of that. You would need to show extreme hardship to get out of that. Now, with spousal support, we might be able to kind of work around the amounts that need to be paid, but something like child support, it's usually very straightforward. So again, manage your expectations. Don't think that because your budget isn't working out that it would make a difference in what you're required to pay. The same applies to equalization as well. A lot of people feel like, well, I can't break my pensions, I can't. Well, you know what, there are ways around that. They might, if you don't want to break your pension, it may mean that if there's another asset, that you would have to transfer that to the other side. But again, recognizing that if there is an equalization payment owing by you, it will be required to be paid. And the circumstances and your wishes and things like that might not play as much of a role as you expect. Even in terms of the matrimonial home, that's a big one. A lot of people would like to keep the home, and the reasons are legitimate. There are times where it is for the best interest of the children, for example, so that they could perhaps finish school or whatever other reason, provide stability for the kids. Well, if the other side doesn't agree with you and you're joint owners on the home, you may have no choice but to actually sell that home that you know and love, and know that it may be in the best interest of your children. It may not matter. Your hands might be tied if you don't have the cooperation of the other side. So that's something that I want you to know going in, that you need to manage your expectations. Things may not play out exactly as you want. Parenting as well. A lot of times people want to have an equal shared parenting arrangement, for example, and it's shocking for them to find out that, well, the child that they lived with and raised every day for so many years, they don't have an automatic right to that. They don't have an automatic right to an equal shared parenting arrangement for that child, and that they now have to prove that it's in the child's best interest for them to have that kind of parenting arrangement. So be mindful of that. And I could go on, but I wouldn't. I think the most important thing you need to remember is to get independent legal advice. Consult with a lawyer, okay? So do that, and I'm going to summarize the 4 things I would really like you to know before you file for a divorce. So first, recognize that it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. Sooner or later, you might face, conflicting feelings or different feelings from however you're feeling now, and it's okay. Make sure you take care of yourself, get the support that you need. Secondly, expect that there will be some scrutiny on your life, your decisions, your finances. Obviously, it's not supposed to be a fishing expedition. You're not supposed to be falsely accused of being a bad parent, but just recognize that in some cases, if there's even a little bit of foundation to certain claims, then you might have you might have that scrutiny happening. And even just simple financial statements even is just something that's uncomfortable for a lot of people, but unfortunately you might be required to do that. Thirdly, manage your expectations. And fourth, make sure you get independent legal advice.